Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. 3 members of the protective forces in Trinidad and Tobago charged by the police. This story takes the lead in a 1124th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 1st June 2021. Details after this break.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Things are not looking good for the Defence Force and Protective Services after a soldier, 3 members of the Coast Guard and a prison officer were arrested for various offences over the weekend. Charges will be laid in the week. TV6's Renissa Cutting has the details.
Officers from 3 arms of the Protective Services will face the courts this coming week. Four officers from 3 arms of the Protective Services will face the courts this coming week. In the latest incident, a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment was arrested for being in illegal possession of a firearm and ammunition, as well as breaking quarantine. The suspect was arrested during an Operation Strike Back exercise in Mount Lambert, where officers had cause to search his vehicle and found a firearm equipped with a selector and fitted with 1 magazine. A subsequent search at his residence revealed 2 rounds of 9mm ammunition and a 14-day quarantine order from the Ministry of Health dated May 19th, in which he was in breach. In the other incident, 3 Coast Guard officers and 1 prisons officer were among 21 persons arrested in Aruca on Friday for assembling for the purpose of gambling, as well as for gathering in a public place where the number exceeds 5. Acting on information, officers proceeded to a building at Lower Railway Road in Aruca, where they observed a group of 21 persons. They were all subsequently arrested and taken to the Arima and Maloney police stations. Those arrested are between the ages of 20 and 58. Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
In other news, returning St. Lucia nationals who are fully vaccinated from the COVID-19 and have a negative PCR test would not have to quarantine. That's the word from the authorities who announced a number of major changes in their latest COVID-19 protocol advisory. Stanley Lucian of HTS News Force reports.
In a surprise turnaround, the government of St. Lucia announced late Friday what it calls amendments to the COVID-19 protocols. The following changes take effect as of Monday, 31st May. A holder of a valid liquor license may permit a person on licensed premises to consume intoxicating liquor between the hours of 11 a.m. and 8 p.m. A competitive sporting activity may be permitted within a controlled facility with spectators on condition that persons in attendance are fully vaccinated. Competitive sporting events or activities must receive approval from the Ministry of Health. Returning nationals and visitors with a negative PCR test who are fully vaccinated will not be required to go into quarantine, with random testing to be carried out at points of arrival. The release states that notwithstanding the adjustments, the Chief Medical Officer retains the power to place visitors in quarantine in order to protect public health. Social events with up to 50 fully vaccinated people may be permitted after authorization from the Ministry of Health. The changes take effect from the 31st of May to the 30th of June 2021. The changes come against the backdrop of sustained calls in the media for adjustments to the protocols, particularly as it pertains to fully vaccinated individuals and the requirement for long periods of quarantine. The government of St. Lucia advises that all public health measures such as mandatory mask wearing in public, social distancing, and the washing and sanitizing of hands remain in place, and that the curfew continues to be in effect from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Stanley Lucian for the HTS News Force.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
We are now pleased to provide a valuable update on the vaccination progress in Guyana, as that country is faced with a delay in the arrival of its second dose of certain vaccines. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
Faced with a delay in the supply of the second dose of the Sputnik coronavirus vaccine, the Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, today announced that the government will continue to administer the first dose as it awaits the arrival of the second dose. The Health Minister said second doses of the Russian-made vaccine are expected in Guyana next week. He explained that the Sputnik vaccines are two different vaccines for the two doses. He said the time between the first dose and the second dose is 4 to 12 weeks, and therefore those persons missing their second shots right now can still get vaccinated when the second dose arrives next week.
That you can extend that interval from 4 weeks to up to 12 weeks. So anytime between 4 to 12 weeks, you can get that second dose. So while we're delayed, everyone who would have received their first dose Sputnik would get their second dose. It wouldn't happen perhaps on the fourth week interval, but certainly you will get it a little bit after because of this delay in supply that we've experienced. And once we get those supplies in, we're hoping that by next week we'll be able to get those supplies in. We'll start rolling out those second doses.
The Health Ministry was forced to make a statement on the vaccine shortage last evening, as hundreds of persons who got the first shot turned up at health centers for their second shot and got turned away. The Health Minister said with regards to the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is also being administered in Guyana, the first and second doses are the same. He said there are second doses of that vaccine available for those who have already gotten their first dose. However, there are no first doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The situation with China's Sinopharm vaccine is the same.
AstraZeneca, the same vaccine that you get for your first dose, is the same vaccine that you'll get for your second dose. So what we did, the amount of AstraZeneca that we got in the country, we took half of it and we set it aside for persons' second dose. And then we used the other half to give out as first dose. Most of that we have given to people, and because you have that time interval between 8 to 12 weeks, we have kept back your second dose. So those persons who are becoming due now for their second dose AstraZeneca can come to any one of our health centers or vaccination sites that where we are giving the vaccines, and you'll be able to get your AstraZeneca second dose. What we're not doing right now is to take in new persons to give them AstraZeneca first dose. So at the various vaccination sites, if you've had an AstraZeneca first dose and you're due for your second dose, you can come and we'll be able to give you that second dose.
Meanwhile, over 190,000 persons have already taken their first shot of one of the three vaccines, and more than 60,000 persons have received both doses.
So far, we have 194,749 persons who would have received their first dose. This approximates to about 40% of our adult population. And in terms of second dose, we've had, as of yesterday, 65,534 persons receiving their second dose. This approximates to 13.5% of our adult population. So I think we're constantly improving. We're increasing those numbers. And with every day, as we increase those numbers, we're taking a step closer to getting to herd immunity.
With its plan to get herd immunity by getting more persons vaccinated, the Ministry of Health and the government are looking to procure additional vaccines.
Still on Guyana, that country's former President David Granger said he's convinced that the move to file charges against former senior police officers who served Guyana with distinction is nothing more than an attempt to besmirch their character. Gordon Mosley tells us more.
Well, PNC Reform leader and former President David Granger today said he is convinced that the move to file charges against retired Assistant Commissioners Paul Slow and Clinton Conway and the other former senior officers is nothing more than an attempt by the government to derail the Police Service Commission. During his public interest television program, Mr. Granger said Mr. Slow and the other retired senior officers who have been charged over fraud allegations served the Guyana Police Force and the country with distinction during their time in the force, and he has no reason to question their integrity.
It seems that the people who have brought about these charges are on a fishing expedition. They have no evidence. They are just seeking to besmirch the reputation of these persons who themselves are former police officers who have served with distinction.
The PNC leader said while charging the officials may satisfy the agenda of a few, it could have a severe impact on the wider Guyanese society, since citizens would not have confidence in the police force.
Once you start to tinker and tamper with the Police Service Commission, public trust is going to drain away. People will say to themselves, you know, what really is happening when the chairman of the Police Service Commission, an honorable position, when the chairman is being treated in this way.
Mr. Granger also said the functions of the Police Service Commission as outlined in the Constitution are critical, and toying with such an institution could damage the fabric of not only the Commission, but the police force also.
Once you start attacking the commissions, you are undermining trust, the confidence which the public has in the ability of these organizations to exercise oversight and to regulate the forces or the organizations over which they have that oversight. Again, you're looking at some hidden agenda. You're looking at the deep state. You're looking at people who do not want to see efficient regulatory agencies and institutions in place.
The retired assistant commissioners and some other senior officers, along with some current senior officers, were charged for allegedly conspiring with each other and persons unknown to defraud the Guyana Police Force of $10 million. The team of retired officers were tasked with updating the force's standing orders, and the $10 million referred to in the fraud charges represent the money that they were paid for the several months of their service.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now makes it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.